to another video in the My Guy Rob series. As always, my name is Robert Mack, partner here at Kurlander, Burton Mack in San Francisco. And today we are going to be talking about Medicare Set Asides. So Medicare Set Asides apply to both civil personal injury cases and workers' compensation cases. If you are receiving Social Security benefits or Medicare benefits, or you think that you will in the next 30 months, it's important that you understand what rules apply to you. And if you are trying to settle your workers' compensation case with having your medical care bought out, or you are trying to settle your personal injury case, you need to know that you need to follow the guidelines for a Medicare set aside. It's very important that you have an attorney for this part, as it's very complicated. You don't want to lose your benefits that you're receiving from Social Security or Medicare if you don't follow the rules. So generally speaking, what is a Medicare set aside, or an MSA as we call it? An MSA allocates part of your settlement to pay for the future medical expenses that are related to your injury. So if it's a work injury, it's part of the settlement is allocated just for future medical treatment for the injury that you suffered at work and the treatments you're going to need. In a civil case, similar thing. Any injuries that resulted as a result of the actual injury, part of your settlement will be allocated just to treat those injuries. And these funds at the end of your case, these funds that you receive, you must use them for treatment for those injuries before Medicare will step in and then pay going forward. So if you have Medicare benefits, it's very important that you know how much you are receiving in the MSA for those specific injuries, because you need to spend that money out of your pocket for the injuries before Medicare will step in. Otherwise, if you run afoul of that, Medicare could conceivably cancel your Medicare insurance completely, and not just for the work injuries, but for all the different treatments you might need. So it's very important that you know how much money you're receiving for the Medicare set aside, and then you spend that money on the medical treatment. And so if you are receiving these benefits, Social Security, Medicare, again, these are federal benefits, just Social Security and Medicare, not any sort of local, state, county benefits that you're receiving. Those are not what we're talking about here today. But it's very important, if you are receiving those benefits, that you speak with your attorney about it. Your attorney needs to know that, because when it comes time to settle the case, they are going to have to deal with that. So if you hire an attorney, one of the first things you should tell them is whether or not you are receiving Social Security or Medicare benefits. And if throughout the case it ends up you do need to start going on Social Security or Medicare, very important that you tell your attorney. So what is a Medicare set aside? So a Medicare set aside is created by a third-party company who basically looks at all of your medical records and then makes an estimate of how much your future medical care will cost and what treatments you're going to need. So there's going to be a line-by-line document that's going to say what treatment you need, how many of those treatments you need, and then how much it costs. So these costs come from the Medicare's own guidelines about how much each treatment will cost. And then these estimates are based on both your life expectancy and all the medical records that are submitted, because in the medical record, there is usually a part of each medical record that talks about a treatment plan, which will then talk about what treatments you might need going forward. So there will be a document, oftentimes about 4 to 5 pages long, and they'll list all the different treatments you need, how much they cost. Then once we get this estimate, and assuming that I agree with the other attorney about what's in the estimate, and that's very important. It's very important that you have an attorney for this, because we want to make sure what the doctors are saying actually ends up in this estimate, because that estimate is then sent to Medicare for their approval. Now, sometimes Medicare comes back and says, hey, this is not accurate. There's treatments in the records that aren't being reflected here, and they will change the amount. Sometimes they'll say, we actually don't think the amount is that high, and they'll lower the amount. But generally speaking, it's important that whatever you send to Medicare is as close as you think it's going to get, because you don't want Medicare rejecting it, because that could delay the case. And also you don't want them accepting a lower amount than is accurate. So it's important that you have an attorney for this process. Also, at this time, I've been seeing a lot of defendants, insurance companies, trying to skip the part where they actually submit the Medicare set aside to Medicare. And instead they say, look, we did a great job with the estimate. As long as you follow the rules, there's no need to tell Medicare. I disagree with that completely. I don't think it's ever worth risking your Medicare Social Security benefits just to save the insurance company a little bit of money. So it's important that you have an attorney there to help you, to guide you, because again, the risk of losing your Medicare or Social Security benefits is very, very high, and you do not want that to happen. Last thing that I want to cover, and I'll keep this brief, is in workers' compensation cases, the only time you use a Medicare set aside is if the parties have agreed they want to buy out the future medical. In another video, I discussed the differences between a stipulated award and a compromise and release. I suggest you check that out to give you a little more context to what I'm about to talk about. But if you do have a compromise and release where your future medical care is bought out and you're on Medicare, Social Security, or you expect to be in the next 30 months, you have to do an MSA. In a civil case, it has nothing to do with whether you're settling by one type of award or another. If you're on Medicare or Social Security, you have to do an MSA. And just as a reminder, and this is in the other video too, judges cannot force a compromise and release, which is the type of settlement that ends your medical treatment, on either party. So that means a judge also can't force a defendant to do a Medicare set aside. So you need to, again, speak with your attorney about that so you know what all your options are and also what all your obligations are going to be when the case is over. So that's what, the basics of a Medicare set aside are. First thing to just remember is if you are on federal benefits, including Medicare and Social Security, you need to tell your attorney because it's important that they follow the rules so you don't lose these benefits. Secondly, you need to also make sure that if the insurance company is sending you a Medicare set aside, that all the treatments are actually included in their estimate. And finally, you need to make sure that that estimate is then sent to Medicare for their approval. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you check out all the other videos in the My Guy Rob series. Once again, my name is Robert Mack, partner here at Kurlander, Burton Mack in San Francisco, and I hope you have a wonderful day.